This is the newly updated BMW 1 Series, and this is the exact spec you're probably going to buy.
Until you discover the big old thorn in this car's side.
Yeah, the problem is... But first, I want to explain to you why the updates to this new 1 Series go much more than skin deep. Although, let's talk about the skin first, because I think this new car looks really good. It's kind of giving a crouching, sort of frowning cat to me. Look at these Z4-like headlights over here and this whisker-like front grille, which I much prefer to the bigger ones you get on the X models. And I really like these leading lines here, this classic BMW on the bonnet here. And you'll notice the BMW badge is also slightly indented. It's in this little section, which is reminiscent of the M3 and the M4 performance models, which really emphasizes the aggression, as does what's under the bonnet here. Now, I'm not going to pretend that this engine is the heart of a lion. I'll tell you about the specifics of this powertrain in a little bit, but it's what's elsewhere in the engine bay. This definitely ain't no pussycat. I mean, look at this strut up top here. That gives real rigidity, and behind you can see these arms which link the tops up here to the bulkhead. That is very promising for the way this car gets down a road. Although I have to also call out something just aesthetic, and that is this plastic engine cover over here. I really like that BMW has this retro nod back to the old cylinder heads of its vintage cars. That, I think, really lifts this under bonnet, and I'd say it's befitting of the rest of the car. Now look at the size of the M brake calipers on this car. These red calipers, let me show you how thin of a tolerance there is between them and the 18-inch wheels. Look, it's barely thicker than the width of our cinch charge card over here, and that's actually the more spacious bit. It's even narrower down there. That and the brake discs suggest this car has some serious stopping power. I do like the wheel design as well. It's the standard kind of snowflake design you see on a few BMWs now, but they're nice, and I'm really happy to see that the Goodyears on this car have a little bit of tyre sidewall, which should help with the ride. Oh, mandatory M badge over here. And if you follow me around to the side, you'll spot low down we have our more muscular side skirt. And by the way, if you're forgetting what car you're driving, you won't need to worry too much, because you've got a reminder here on the C-pillar. Also, even though the calipers are much smaller at the rear, they're still painted in a racy red. But my favourite feature that's visible from the side of the car is this spoiler here, because it's got this little flick at the back. I don't know if it does anything for downforce, but I think it looks really good, and of course it matches all that M badgery. Although at the back, there are no M badges at all. In fact, all you get is 3 little digits, 1, 2, 0, because this 120 has lost the I from its name. Although the advantage of that actually is it clears up a lot of room for you to go onto eBay and buy one of those M badges everyone seems to love. You know you want to. Too many of you guys are doing that, but at least at the back of this car, there is some real aggression. These tail lights here, they kind of mimic the headlights. They've got a really cool design, even when the lights are on. And you also get down here a rear diffuser, which actually improves aerodynamic efficiency by exactly 0%. But it does add to the aggression. Talking of aggression, there's actually been quite a lot of anger in our YouTube comments lately relating to our next test, which is our timed CarPlay test. And in fact, let me read you out some that were on our recent MG S5 video, because they're pretty brutal. Oh, how awful. 30 seconds for the connection and start of CarPlay. The reviewers have run out of things to comment on, I think. Here's another one. Why should a car manufacturer be responsible for your lack of time management? No one cares about an extra 5 seconds on startup. Ow, and actually that hurts doubly so because it's got a like. And here's potentially the worst one of the bunch. Late after 20 seconds, this fellow needs to get a life. Ow. But you know what, even though not everyone's on board with it, I still think it's an important test. And okay, that MG was a low-cost car, so it was somewhat excusable for being slow, but this is a high-tech BMW, so I don't think it has an excuse at all, which is why we're gonna do it. So just to recap, this is a test to see how quickly my phone connects to the car so I can use CarPlay and use Waze as my sat-nav. Our benchmark is about 10 to 15 seconds. Any longer, and it's too long in 2025. And by the way, we are going to do a Le Mans style start like we have in all the other videos. And I'll be using a humongous key to open the car. It does have keyless, but I want to save some time. Right, let's do this. We ready? Off we go. 3, 2, 1. Cool. Car's unlocked. In we go, phone down here, start button, engine's fired up. That is quick, this is looking good. Oh, that's so fast, fantastic, Waze straight away. Time, that is quick. That's how you do a startup. In fact, there's actually a lot of good to talk about with this infotainment system overall, but there are some key negatives, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. First, let's do the good stuff. Now, what I really like about this infotainment system is actually aesthetics, because I think it looks great. Just like Jaguar's really nice and quite textured designs, BMWs look great with this 2-screen setup. And it's also nice and easy to use. Even when you're not using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, the system itself is pretty good. It's pretty simple. You've got a few apps here. There's quite a lot of them, but it's easy to just get back to the home screen with the button down there. I also don't mind too much the fact that we've got the climate control in here, because the buttons are on screen all of the time. But the negative of that, and here's the first negative, is that you do have to spend a few seconds when making adjustments. It's easy to do temperature up or to do the fan speed up or down, but when it comes to turning the heated steering wheel on or the heated seats in this particular car, it's a couple of taps away, which is a little bit frustrating. At least, however, the infotainment system itself is nice and quick and reactive to use. The instrument cluster as well looks really good. It's relatively customizable. It's just a nice aesthetic design. I also think that the vents and the vent controls themselves are nice to use. They're pretty easy to figure out what you're doing. And the buttons that matter on your steering wheel, well, they control most of the key things, especially things you're going to do on the move. That includes using your cruise control, although we don't actually have adaptive cruise control on this car, interestingly, but at least we've got the buttons right here. And also your media controls as well. They're nice and easy to access. Plus you've got your voice control if that's your thing. And also in this particular car, a really good thing is the fit and finish. Now, because we've got the M Sport pack on this car, we've got lots of flashes of M colors, both on the dash and also on the seats as well. It looks great. And you know what? It feels great as well. BMWs of late, some of the X models, the ones built in the States, for example, their build quality is a little bit on the, let's say they're moving backwards a little bit. Although, then you grab some of the plastics and you reach down to close the door and you feel this hard touch plastic with this kind of hard lip here as well. And then you look ahead of you and you're like, wait a minute, this is really hard and scratchy plastic as well. But when it comes to this car, well, it feels solid. Everything is really nicely put together. Maybe there's a little bit of creak here that you wouldn't get in some of the best built cars out there, but generally speaking, it feels plush and it's nice to use as well. I like the design, I like the layout, and at night you get these ambient lights as well. Storage room is good too, and the controls for your gear selector, etc. While they're not the best out there, of course I'd much prefer to have an iDrive controller down here, for example, it is at least easy and an easy reach as well. Plus you've got the usual storage space and decent sized door pockets too. And the seats in our M Sport car are lovely. They look great. They've got perforated leather on them and they're also really supportive. They are great for a long journey. If there's a negative, it's the steering wheel, because while the steering wheel overall is good and I like the M badge bits, why does BMW insist on having such a thick rim? For me, it just kind of robs you of that sporty car feeling. Now, this is supposed to be the bit where I tell you, because this is a hatchback, it's really cramped in here. And while there is a negative, I want to tell you about the positives first, and that's even compared to some crossovers, because while yes, this is a hatch, so I have to get a bit lower than you would in some taller cars, if you look at the amount of knee room I have and also the foot room, it's actually better than some crossovers we've driven recently. Honestly, my seat is set as low as it will go and I can still fit in here quite comfortably. Okay, yes, naturally I haven't got tons of headroom, although there is still a little bit there. And it is a shame that while we've got a panoramic sunroof, which does give us a little bit of light, it doesn't come all the way back so we've got it above us here. But overall, this is actually a decent back of a car. I mean, compared to the old 1 Series, it's night and day. Now, I must confess, the middle seat is a bit narrower and there is a tunnel in the floor. So if you are sat in the middle, it's going to be a bit tricky to keep your feet comfortable. But at least we've got a middle seat that's okay. Plus, if someone's not in the middle seat, you've got an armrest with 2 cup holders, and even better, at just the pull of this here, you've got a ski hatch. So this car can be used to carry your skis, or you can reach in and grab something out. Might put my jumper on in a minute, it's freezing. Also, we have a couple of USB-C ports down there, although I have noticed there's no pockets down the back here, which is a bit frustrating. It's made up for by the fact that you do get at least an okay sized door bin on the side. Plus, just like the front, we get these lovely M Sport seats here with perforated leather and also the M colours as well. So it feels nice, and the build quality in the back continues to be really good. Now, in the pre-update 1 Series, I would have told you that your boot space is dependent on which spec of car you go for. But because the 1 Series now only comes with the mild hybrid setup in the 120, well, it means you always have a little less space. In fact, quite a lot less space. Because if I lift up the floor here, you'll spot that before we had an adjustable floor and we had room underneath going all the way back, but now it's eaten into down here by all the electrical stuff. There is still a bit of underfloor storage, but there's definitely a lot lost from before. But I can show you that it's not all bad, because if I put this bag in here, Jamil's carry-on cabin bag, you'll see that it does still fit in quite comfortably. So much so that we reckon you could get 4 across here stacked like this and you'd have a slither of space left over. And yes, while you've lost a bit of underfloor storage, the key thing is you have gained 2 key benefits. The first is muscle, because while this car has a fairly small 1.5 litre 3-cylinder engine, it also has the mild hybrid tech I talked about when we were pointing in the boot. Basically that eats into your space, but it gives you electric oomph as well as petrol oomph. So combined, we have 170 horsepower, and apparently this car will hit 62 mile an hour in 7.8 seconds. So it's a warm hatch in pace. We're going to test it. Can it do it today? Can it do that time or a little bit better in a 0 to 60? Let's find out. Right, let's put it in sport mode. Sport's on. Right, I'm now going to press both pedals.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, bit of slip. Ooh. Makes quite a good sound, this. 7.8 seconds. That's pretty much bang on the money, actually. It is bang on the money, isn't it? That's very good. I mean, that wasn't even a perfect start. It slipped up a bit, so a bit of traction control kicked in, but that's pretty good. It's not just nippy in a straight line either, because with that body shell firming stuff we saw under the bonnet and also the M Sport trimmings, this car gets down a road like a warm hatch. I mean, if you find a nice corner and you approach it with some pace and you flick it in, it honestly gives you a little bit of lift off oversteer. You can feel the back of the car wants to play, the front is nice and pointy, and the steering is not particularly communicative, but overall the car feels keen and genuinely hot hatch fun. There is a bit of a compromise to that. The ride is a little bit fidgety and firm at times, but it's never harsh and never crashy. So for people who like a slightly sportier handling BMW, this is probably just on the edge, but probably just about acceptable. But because this is of course the 120, it's not the M135i, which is the performance model, this still needs to be calm and sensible most of the time. Now the ride does remain a bit fidgety on bumpy roads all the time, but it is good and a bit smoother over bigger bumps, over speed humps as well, and the damping feels of good quality. If I switch it back into what is effectively the normal mode, but it's called personal in this car, I can tell you that the powertrain, it calms right down. This little 3-cylinder is really quiet. Sometimes you don't even know it's on, and it's very smooth as well. And because of the 48-volt mild hybrid tech, it's a really good system. So when the engine's going from being on and off, effectively doing start-stop stuff, but while you're moving, now for example, it's off and I'm coasting, you cannot tell. It is so smooth and so refined. And then suddenly if I put my foot down and the engine switches back on, there is no vibration, not even really any noise. And even at higher speed on the motorway, it's the same. It's really good. And the car does feel pretty refined overall. So long as the road is a bit more forgiving and not too bumpy, this is a comfortable long distance cruiser. Now this car does have a few driver assistance features to make things easier on a longer journey. You don't have adaptive cruise on this particular car, but we do have cruise control. And you also get the bings, the bongs, and the nannying you get on all new cars for safety reasons. But thankfully, BMW is one of the few brands that does make it easy to switch this stuff off, and very quickly as well. Because all you have to do is a long press of the set button on the steering wheel, and then it just turns everything off to your preferences. So when I did it and I got in the car just stopped binging and bonging at me, which is great. I hate it when you have to dive into menus and do stuff. This is what more brands should be doing.
One thing that's slightly less useful for those with lots of driving experience, but will no doubt be appreciated by newer or less confident drivers, is an optional extra that requires a little demonstration.
Now, for those who find parking a bit difficult, or actually more specifically, people who find driving out of parking spaces difficult, there is a parking assistance tech on this car that basically retraces the steps you took on the way in, but on the way out, and it steers automatically. I genuinely have not used it in this car today, so we're about to find out whether it works and whether it's of any use. We're in a pretty normal parking bay here, so I've got the car in reverse. All I have to do is click Start Reversing Assistant, car's already steering away, and now I control the pedals. It's all clear around me, so here we go. I'm gonna lean into the car's tech. What's happening here? Right, it's actually steering. I can see on the screen, actually that's quite nice to see. It gives me confidence because I can see that it's taking exactly the same route I took. I can see where it's going, so I know the car's not gonna do anything unpredictable. And in fact, it looks like the steps I can take go all the way back to where we started, which is quite far down the road. Don't need to do that. I'm out of the space, that worked fine. If you hate parking, that's gonna be useful. For everyone else, probably a feature you won't bother with. One thing that everyone can appreciate, however, is the fuel efficiency of this car. Now, I really doubted the on-paper stats, which said it should get 50 miles per gallon combined when I got in it. Not because a 3-cylinder 1.5 can't do that out in the wild, but because this feels a bit sportier, and if you drive it like you want to drive it, you feel like you're gonna use a bit more petrol. But really, I've found today that that mild hybrid system is really effective in trimming fuel usage. So much so actually that my drive here, my 2-hour drive, which was quite mixed, I averaged 50 miles per gallon. So I was bang on the money. That never happens really. So that's the other key advantage of this setup. And even now, when we've been driving down country roads and I've done our 0 to 60 test, I'm still getting over 40 miles per gallon combined. So it's a respectable fuel efficiency, even when you drive the car as intended.
So, it's looking good for the running costs and even the fun factor of this new 1 Series. But that leads me onto the thorn in the side of its purple paintwork.
Yeah, the problem is the price, because while you can get a 120M Sport from about £32,000, if you want one with all of the kit on this one, it's going to cost you £42,000. And that is a problem, because it doesn't mean you just have to pay BMW a lot of money. It also means you're going to be paying HM Revenue and Customs as well, because it's over the 40k UK luxury car tax. And that is thanks to the options on the car, some of which I really like. But I mean, look at the prices. If you want, for example, the M Sport package I think you have to get, that is £2,075. If you want the panoramic sunroof, that's £1,050. I think you could get rid of that, save yourself a few quid, and actually probably gain a bit of rear headroom as well. But then the Technology Plus pack, which gets you very useful things like comfort access, your parking assistant, and even your wireless charging, that is £2,750. That drives up the cost very quickly. But I guess if you really want to get the best of 120M Sport, you're going to have to cherry pick from the options. There are a few you could lose that are quite easy, panoramic sunroof included, and maybe you could get rid of the heated steering wheel maybe? I don't know. The problem is it pushes the car into the realm of the Volkswagen Golf GTI, which of course has more power from a 2-litre engine. Although, I have to say that I think that this car doesn't just look better, but I think the interior is nicer too. It feels more special, and I just prefer the design. Really, it's going to be up to you whether you can take the sacrifice in power versus a Golf GTI, but gain the niceties that this car has. Let me know in the comments below, which would you choose, because I'm still genuinely undecided. But before you do that, I do want to say that I think that this car does offer something very special, and it fills a gap left by the now departed 128 Ti. It feels sporty and warm and fun. Although, if you like your BMWs, there is another one out there that can probably give you just as much joy in your life, and it's in this video over here. And if you want to know why I'm not taking this car's interior for granted, watch the video of the X3 here to see when I was a little bit disappointed.